Morning, boys.
Morning. Actually, there's this one have Oracle Eyes as well. Yeah, 2 Oracle Eyes.
Nice. Yeah, I got a Oracle Eyes and the like Flux something. Let me go check. What were they called? Flux Acid Eyes, which is sick.
Ooh, dope.
Yeah. The Goblin looks like a semi-retired 58-year-old like dad. But his eyes are cool. He's even got like the big bushy eyebrows. Like he's lived life, but he has sick eyeballs. So what do you get of that?
Dope.
My favourite one reminds me of one of our team, Kerry, with the mohawk.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get a hairy one.
There's a Sonny Moore haircut that I'm probably going to have to collect at this point as the resident emo kid.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a Dan haircut.
Oh, it's close. I've never done like the shaved side, like the complete bald side, but it's not far off.
I had joked when it came out then that there might be one that looked like you, and the first one I saw had that haircut. I could not believe it. I was so like,
Yeah, I'll take it. Because I got told to look at it, and they're like Sonny Moore. So I explained who Sonny Moore was, and they're like, "Nah, it's Skrillex." I'm like, "Yeah, it's same guy. Come on, don't." He's not just Skrillex, guys. Just want to make that clear. Sonny Moore is like a pillar of the emo society, and then started to make dubstep.
well, there you go. I've learned something.
I did not. Yeah, this is
Sonny Moore is
History 101.
Sonny Moore is the lead singer of First to Last, which was like the biggest emo band back in like the mid 2000s.
Wow, you all thought you were coming here to talk about AI and FIFA, but we're getting a lesson in emo history. Yeah. What a treat!
Unpopular opinion: the newer lead singer is better though, but I will catch heat for that in certain circles.
There's information that I didn't know that I wanted to know.
You've listened to them, and you've listened to them in the gym. You just wouldn't have known.
Well,
yeah,
this is great.
Yeah,
this is what AMAs are about now, guys. History of emo with Dan. We're
pivoting.
You've been waiting for an angle on this, Dan, and we've just given it to you with the goblins.
Yeah, so good, so good.
Cool. Yeah, see, we got fans already. One fan.
That's it. That's all I need. That's all you need, really. You just need one.
Thanks, Toad. Cool. All right, should we kick on? You there, Isaac?
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
We can.
Cool.
All right. First and foremost, obviously, welcome everybody to AMA number 26. Today we have a couple of guests here. I'm Dan. I'll be hosting as per usual. We've got David here as well. David, do you want to introduce yourself again? You can if you want.
Yeah. Hey, so David McDonald, founder and CEO of a company called Altered State Machine.
Perfect. Yeah. Isaac here as well to bring us the updates and the weather. Morning, Isaac.
Morning. Hey, everybody. Hope you're well.
Cool. And for I think the first time on a AMA, we have Vinnie. Welcome.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, it is my first time. Honor and excited to be here.
Awesome. Do you want to give the audience a little sort of who you are, what you do, kind of background before we kick off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a Unity dev. Joined the team at Altered State Machine a few months before the Genesis box minting. So I've been around for most of the adventure. I say this often, but I'm as much a community member as I am a team member. I'm deeply invested. So yeah, I'm on the ride with you all. My sort of what I've been working on mostly is working with the AI team, building sort of the interface between machine learning and the game tools that Unity provides. So yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah, actually, Vinnie was our first game dev in the whole company, from memory. I don't think there was anyone before you, right?
I was hoping you were going to drop that, mate, because it sounds very prestigious, and I didn't want to say it myself, but yes, I believe I was the first. Thank you.
Yeah. I remember going through the interview. I was very excited.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, this guy seems awesome. A little bit nervous as well. Like, what's he going to think of the project? Being the first one to come on. But turns out you're a pretty choice, and loved what we were doing. So
Thank you. Likewise for me. I remember being super excited sitting there. I kept interrupting you and Hal. My mind was alive as I heard about it. So no, it was a special day.
Yeah, awesome.
It feels like that timeline too is so long ago now, but it's not. Wasn't that long ago. It feels like almost a lifetime that we all sort of turned up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still get nostalgic about that mint day with my mates. It was just such an intense, exciting time.
Yeah. Oh man, that was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was before I technically worked here, but I remember talking to David on the day, and it's just like, yeah, everything's insane right now. But it's exciting.
You have to with
I did QA, but I didn't technically work for ISM yet. I contracted to do the QA. And then I started a couple of weeks later, full time.
Yeah, nice a trip down memory lane.
I know. But I think to kick us off, Isaac, do you want to give us our? I can't remember what your segment was called, and I feel really bad for it now. But Isaac, maybe you can introduce your segment and take us through.
Well, we've called it the TLDR news, but we're open to a new name. So if anyone's creative out there, and we'll take that on. All right, good day, everybody. Without further ado, let's dive right in. First up, the Gods and Goblins Mint is now live, and they look amazing. ASTO is among the currencies they're accepting from Mint. So if you haven't already, head over to the Gods and Goblins website for more details. Moving on, the next Legends is aiming for the locker room at the end of April. Meanwhile, the art department has made improvements to the 3D Pro Boxer head and body models and has established a system for scaling clothing for different body types. The game team is also hard at work with machine learning validation in progress and work being done to define the visualization of the fight experience. In other news, the AI League has launched its open beta, which is now available for download on all Android devices. Players can head over to the Play Store to download the game and invite their friends and family to join. The AI League team is looking to add multiple more languages in the next month, along with a new first-time user onboarding experience. Meanwhile, the AFA game team is taking feedback and learnings from AI League to look into how it can benefit and shape AFA. The team is also working closely with the platform and protocol team to optimize the training process to reduce time and costs for a more streamlined game loop. Lastly, in the world of lore, the company role-playing game Alleriyan Legends will be streaming on Twitch weekly. The community named Alleriyan Legends will have the opportunity to shape the adventure alongside the players in real time. So keep an eye on announcements for launch dates. Now moving on to the weather report. Ice, if you're with us, what's the weather on Alleriyan looking like today?
Thank you, Ice. You know, I must say, if you're in the dancing season, you get a chance to go outside today, I encourage you to take it. They're saying that the sun will be out till about 3:30, so plenty of time to get down to the beach if you're that way inclined. Back to you in the studio, Ice.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Ice. You only mentioned the weather in one region, and there's 9, so don't know what's up with that. But nonetheless, thank you very much. That's all for now from the TLDR News. Hope you enjoy the rest of the AMA, and everyone have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Isaac, for that. And as per usual, the TLDR news will be published in a written version, I believe, quite soon, if not after the AMA. But I won't hold anyone to doing it while we're live, just in case Isaac's the one who needs to do it. Perfect. For anybody that does have any questions, you can just straight up start putting the hands up. I'll make sure it's turned on this time. It is. I didn't make that mistake again. I think what we can do, we do have the new process where we've got a bunch of written questions that we've taken down from the community as well, same as last time. So we are still functioning on this sort of new AMA structure, which seemed to work a lot better last time. So thank you all for your feedback as well on that. You're helping shape these AMAs to make them a bit more streamlined. So we've got a couple of. I might ask David and Vinny actually. So we've got a couple of sections of the questions. What do you want to start on? Do you want to start on AI League, sort of general ASM, or ASTO-y kind of questions? Where do we want to begin?
I'm happy to begin with AI League.
All right. Well, there's an easy one to start with. When AI League on iOS?
Yeah, so I'm really interested in that question as well. I think the next major patch that's coming out should have the changes that Apple requested we make, and if they're happy with those, then and they approve, then we'll have iOS version in the next patch. Does that sound right, Vinnie?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always been able to publish out to both platforms. It's just Apple and their stringent rules. So assuming that there's nothing else they find that they want us to tweak, it should absolutely be in that next significant patch.
Yeah, and it's not actually anything major. Just to pull back the curtain a bit, it's to do with the login flow. They want it to happen within the application and not take you outside the application. But they don't provide a convenient way for that to happen, so we've had to make something to enable that. And we're just going through testing and making sure it's robust.
Awesome. So you heard it here first, everyone. iOS, potentially next patch, as long as Apple give the thumbs up. Which I think will open it up to a lot of people. I'm only learning now that people still use iPhones. Everyone I kind of, like a lot of people I know don't use them anymore. So I was like, oh wow, it's a lot of people. So it's unfortunate that it's not there, but it will be soon.
I'm one of those people, Dan, so I can't wait.
Did you not get an Android to test though? So like you
yes,
were fine,
you
right?
said I did. But it's nice and shiny. I'm surprised I got the job from David. Actually, I don't think he likes Apple.
I don't. No. I'm definitely an Android kind of guy.
Yeah, I got a flip phone because I wanted to feel like a teenager again. Best thing ever, honestly. Flip phones, the way of the future. You heard it here first.
Foldy boys, yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love the little folded phone.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a live question now. I will invite them up to the stage. Max Poker, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Yo.
My question is about the next Legends, because recently we've hit the 6-month anniversary since we minted those, and there hasn't been a lot of activity. You mentioned earlier on this podcast that there would be like something coming up this month, but has it taken longer than you expected it to? Do you want to talk about that?
Not really. It's been. I think it's. We've had some distractions like FIFA in the middle of it, but that hasn't disrupted progress too much, to be honest. Like I said from the beginning, we're Next Legends was going to be more ambitious than anything else that we'd tried before, and coming with that ambition was going to be a longer development cycle. And as you can see from the models themselves and the work that went into the platform that enabled us to create that collection, that was just the beginning. The website was, and the minting experience was orders of magnitude more than what we had done previously. So our ambitions are pretty high with Next Legends because of the brand association and the responsibility we have to curate that. So it was always going to be a long development cycle to get where we're getting. Good news is that first parts of that functionality is not far from being released with the locker room functionality. And then you'll start to see more of the game gameplay stuff coming out probably around about that time. And I think recently we've been starting to release some of the behind-the-scenes work that's been going on. So it's a massive production in comparison to what we've done for any other game beforehand. And it is tracking quite nicely.
My follow-up question would be, what are some of the reasons why you decided to mint them? Like, I guess, way before some of the functionality was built and ready.
I don't think it's that far before. If you have a look at other projects in this space, 6 months, it's been 6 months, as you mentioned. It's not actually that huge amount of time. As I said, the locker room functionality is coming out shortly. I would have liked it out a little bit earlier, but we did have a couple of other distractions in the meantime. Like FIFA, for example. But honestly, it's not actually that far between the two events, in my opinion.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks very much for your questions, Max. I will go back to our written questions. This one will likely be closer to Vinnie, I would say. What common feedback did you receive in the AI League closed beta, and what, if any, changes do you plan to implement in the next few updates?
Yeah, that is a good one. In terms of feedback, I mean, specifically, I don't know, because that's kind of gone through the QA team more. But I certainly jumped in both this Discord, well, sort of across the board, the AI League one, the ASM one, and Bluff, and just overall got a lot of really positive sentiment, which was really nice, because this is the first time we've stuck something out in public. And you get pretty close to these projects, and until you've exposed yourself a bit, you're just not too sure. But yeah, overall, just a real positive, accepting, encouraging kind of vibe. So that's very broad, I know, but I couldn't say anything specific. In terms of improvements, I might just let David jump in on that one, because he's probably got a better sense of what's been prioritized and what he would like to speak to.
Yeah, so we're in the process of correlating a lot of the feedback. Obviously, any bugs that have popped up during the process have been prioritized for improvement. Also, for any of you who are familiar with the development process at all, we are going through and relieving ourselves of some of the tech debt that's built up. That's important to do for a project that's going to be running long term. We don't want that to build up on you. So those are the current priorities: bugs and tech debt. As far as features go, we've got UX features that have come as a suggestion from the community that's been prioritized. Gameplay features such as ability to run tournaments and things like that. And quality of life stuff is a bunch of things that have come through from the community that we can start to implement pretty quickly. But getting the iOS version out, our tech debt and bugs are the biggest priority before the next patch.
Awesome. And for those of you that don't follow David on Twitter, he did announce that myself and Josh will be working on a tournament structure for AI League as well. So I can tell you all from my end that the work on that has started. And we're looking into how we want it to run, price pools, all that sort of jazz. So if you do have any suggestions on how you would like to see a AI League tournament run, produced, hosted, all of that stuff, feel free to @me and give me ideas. It's something that I've done a lot of, but I'm always open for community engagement and these sorts of things. And I'm very excited to get back behind the mic on a tournament style broadcast, which will be very fun.
And drop a few little emo facts in there just for...
Oh yeah, they're coming in. I know. Look, that Toad got me. Toad said he liked it. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
I only ever needed one person.
It's going to be a new AMA section now. Emo facts for Dan.
Emo facts with Dan. That's it. We'll do it in the pre-roll. So
Yeah.
Cool. Another one here. A little bit more of a. I pre-read some of these, and I'm like, I don't know how this works, so I'm going to ask this one. When you upgrade skills in a player and then switch the skills, do the players retain any memory of that original skill, and how much training goes into each skill model?
So, as far as the training and for each skill model goes, a lot, several million steps, and a lot of sort of tweaking to make them behave in a specific way. That's a difficult thing to do, and your guys will find this out when it comes to when you're playing AFA and training your own models. That it is it's not necessarily difficult to get a good result, but it's difficult to get a specific result from an AI. They're like 7-year-old kids running around at a birthday party sometimes. Very difficult to keep them contained to one specific activity. So yeah, a lot of training has gone into those models that you've got there, and we're looking at launching more models as we go through the process and making them available to people to choose from, which is, again, was another sort of requested feature from the community. And awesome. I forgot the first part of that question.
The first part is when you upgrade skills on a player and then switch skills, do the players retain any memory of that original skill? Or do they forget how to do it and then they have to retrain once you switch it back?
They switch to that new skill, but you can switch back to the old skill.
And they retain what they learnt of that old skill?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So you don't have to worry about switching skills, and then if you want to go back, you don't have to retrain almost.
No, they'll know. They either know the skill or they don't.
Oh, perfect. All right. Any hands? We got no one's throwing hands. All right. I got heaps of questions ready. Another AI lead question. So this one might be for you, Vinny, because people are asking for leaks actually, so it could be both of you. Can you give us any tips that only people who have worked with the models would know?
Ooh, can I? Should I?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the highest permission you can have, really.
Fair enough. Well, I think this has probably been said before anyhow, but there's a strong team starting basis definitely to have a two defenders, two attackers kind of thing going on as your starting point. I think that's either been discovered or perhaps pre-leaked. But if you start with that, and it makes sense, a lot of the research team's training sort of initial setups, they started with that, and so some of these skills will have been trained with that as a basic team makeup. So that's probably what I would drop. I will say that I have from time to time just hacked the system completely inside the Unity editor and boosted a few of my players. Obviously not on production, don't worry, but just in my own little editing environment and giving my players superpowers. But you guys don't have that ability, so yeah, start with a balanced team would be my tip. Would you add to that, Dave?
Yeah, and don't necessarily have one thing I've found just through playing the production version was you don't necessarily need, on your offensive players, a mixture between just defensive skills. Maybe look into mixing them with support and defense skills. It doesn't necessarily make the best offensive or defensive player to max out defensive or offensive skills.
Nice.
All right. So there's some tips and tricks. Maybe if you do have any further questions about tips and tricks, I know Poglet was number 1 on the global leaderboard for a little while. So at him and just ask what he's doing might help. He is a huge nerd though, so be aware that he may give you paragraphs of things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
he was a professional gamer for a little while, and once he likes something, he will develop a habit of spending way too much time playing that video game. I think he's got like 800 games or something already.
Wow.
All right, let's get our next speaker on stage before I keep throwing Josh under the bus even more. Welcome, Money GCC.
Hey guys, good morning. How are you guys today?
Good. Good
How
morning.
are you?
Good. My question goes along the lines of when you're training your fighter or your brain, will there be a broadcast channel similar to Twitch within the ASM ecosystem where you can show people or showcase how you're training your brain or your boxer to do the skills that or to fight the way you want it to fight?
I haven't specifically thought of that, but it's a good idea to have some sort of showcases of how people are training. People are going to be able to see the results of your training through versing your boxer or your team. But I haven't actually thought of specifically creating a channel for people to showcase, and it's not a bad idea.
Cool. Thanks. That's my only question.
Yeah, good one. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think having a sort of video channel, be it Twitch or something, live or pre-recorded to show, okay, I've done this. This is the results. Would be a really cool, potentially community-driven, honestly, way of showing people what you do to get your results. Could even be a form of like, private coaching to new players. Could be anything. It's a good one to explore.
Awesome.
I'll put Josh in charge of that one. He'll be the huge nerd that can do it. I'll just keep throwing him under the bus. Let's go with another live while we've got another hand up, and then we'll go back to a couple more written questions. Herman, welcome to the stage.
Yo, can you hear me?
I can indeed. Welcome.
Nice, thank you. Hey, quick question on just like AI stuff. The platforms that are like making it free, I actually legit just want to learn how they develop. Do numbers or like the number of people using a new protocol like ChatGPT or things like that, does that help speed up the development of that, I guess, the utility or service or whatever you want to call it, or the number of like having 1 million people exploring and trying to develop something rather than a small team? Does that like have any like what's the impact of something like that and the effect of that? And is that something that you guys are considering creating like a free version of things like AI art and opening it up to the public a little bit more? Can you just share a little bit more in that sense?
Yeah, so it depends on how the learning works. So with something like ChatGPT, as far as I've been exposed to the inner workings of how it works, it's not actually taking learning from its users at the moment. It learns through the so with a big model like that, you put it into learning mode, which goes out and takes your massive data set. In the case of ChatGPT, it was all the public data available on the internet and all the personal data of all the internet's users that it could get its hands on, and then runs a learning steps over millions and millions of learning steps on that data to train itself. And then they switch it on then they take that model and they put it in an inference infrastructure where it starts working and people can interact with it. And that while it's an inference infrastructure, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't have any learning capabilities. But that's how that AI specifically works. There are other types of AI that can work alongside the users while they're using them. So, for instance, imitation learning is an example of that, where it can take data from the users about how they're operating learn from that, and then update the model progressively and iteratively as it goes along. So it depends on what type of model that you're using, whether that's going to be useful or not. With Thingy's art, we're iteratively updating that from data that we're getting back from the community. And that's been a really interesting experiment to go through. And the way our AI and the way our ChatGPT type service is designed is to allow users to have personalized AI and personalized data that they keep self-sovereign to themselves. And the AI, they can train their own version of it independently from other people, and give it a style filter over the top of it that's based on their own personal data. And then they get to keep control over that personal data rather than the model that other people in the space are choosing is to take people's personal data and then sell it back to them, which I don't think should necessarily be the future of AI.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So referencing thingies, like when do you see it being something that like is like, I guess the full control is given to the owner of that asset, and we can generate things at like the level that you guys want it to be? Like, where do you see that being like this is like not the finish line, but like it's pretty complete at this level. Like there's no really further things we need to do. It's now up to the owners to take it further. Where do you see that happening, or when do you see that happening?
So I think you'll see a lot of a trend with across the Futureverse as a whole, with the tools that we create, where they will just become so we'll open up APIs and we'll open up the platform tools for people just to consume them themselves directly. So that's kind of the intention across the board for all the things that we're creating, is that we hand over the power to the community to create the worlds that they want to create.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we're not there yet, and that's something that we're moving towards. And would it be correct to say like Root Network, having that launch is a pivotal part to getting to that?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yep.
Yeah, I see. That's cool. And just quickly, from a last question, just from a like business context, what systems and protocols or things that have you put in place to stop growing, to not grow so fast where everything collapses?
So I mean, yeah, that's a really interesting question, because that's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And it's not something that people necessarily are aware of. The biggest thing you can have to prevent that is experienced leadership in place, and the founders of Futureverse and the board that were put in to manage Futureverse are extremely experienced people who this is not their first rodeo. So I've got a lot of faith in the leadership team and their experience to grow a business that is sustainable, and to make the right choices, the hard and the easy ones, that will ensure the future of this company, and the things in the communities that we're building. And I think that's obviously the top of their mind, is that and their priorities is that we deliver on what we promised, and we create a sustainable Web3 community and project is kind of number one.
Amazing
priority. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, David. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Herman. I am going to ask our last written question around AI League, and then we'll grab another person to come up on stage. And then I've got a couple more blocks around ASM and ASTO. AI League. I guess this is not directly AI Link, but what can we expect to see in AFA, and how will it differ from AI Link?
So essentially, AFA, you guys will be able to play the part that our AI team has been playing for FIFA, which is the training of the models, and then it's going to be also a lot more Web3 focused, where we're going to have those native Web3 functionality from day one around trading of assets and play to earn and play and earn mechanics and those sorts of things are going to be there from day one. But the biggest change is that this part that we've done for the FIFA community, which is training the models and doing sort of all the AI activities, they will be exposed to the AFA players and users to play around with the tools.
Awesome. Any other comments from you on that, Vinnie?
No, not really. I'm a little bit out of the loop on AFA these days, but I mean, AFA informed FIFA, and then FIFA will inform AFA. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of carries over. I don't know whether the model blending feature, which is something that's super exciting, super cool, whether that will end up in AFA or not, but it's AFA is definitely going to benefit from some of the things we've learned on FIFA.
Yeah, that's been actually interesting. Is that we've at observation is going through this FIFA process, is that we've made some observations and clarified some assumptions that we had with AFA, which will enable us to build a better product there. And it's been quite eye-opening as to the types of things that people have been enjoying over features that people have been enjoying, and the reaction from the community.
Awesome. Thanks very much, guys. I will invite another speaker onto the stage now. Welcome, No Credits.
Hey team. Hey, my question for you guys was, when is the game actually played? Like, when does the AI determine everything? Is it like in a split second and then we just watch it unfold, or does it actually sort of happen throughout the game? And off the back of that, is there a way of being able to use that data to create, say, replays or a highlights package, or those sorts of things?
Great question. I know the answer, but I want to give Vinnie a chance to jump in.
Oh, cheers. So it's real time. So it's literally 16 neural networks at runtime making observations and triggering decisions, and that's driving them. So it's all very much in real time. And in terms of a replay tool and highlights, then yes, that is actually part of that is already built into the framework, because we have talked about exactly that, being able to go back and relive the glory of goals and that kind of thing. I'm not sure if that's on the roadmap at this stage, but on a technical level, absolutely a possibility. I'm assuming, David, you'll have a bit more insight into if and when that fits in.
Yeah, it's a major feature that's been requested, and it's something that I personally think will make a much more interesting game. They've been able to go through not only watch replays, post them up, especially if you've smashed, your friend or something. Post it up on Twitter, but also see the stats behind the matches, and which allow you to make effective decisions on how you train your teams. So that's going to be what's most interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because quite often I run the games on sort of 3x or whatever that sort of fast mode is, just because it's a lot more fun. But you often don't get to see exactly what happened out of that sort of scrum, and which one of your players managed to wrestle the ball and kick it on a oblique angle, and and it's like, man, I wish I could just go back and watch that, and even just for the sheer fun of it, but also for the analysis.
Yeah, agreed. And highlights, I think, as well, just having like a little highlights reel be able to go and maybe have a look at a different camera angle.
Mm.
That would be pretty cool.
Mm.
Yeah, so this is definitely stuff that's been discussed earlier. In fact, it was originally in the roadmap, but it was probably too ambitious to get that feature finished in the short time frame we had. That's why I think Vinnie was saying that we actually started building out the framework to enable it. So yeah, definitely a feature we want to see in the game.
Great work. It's been a lot of fun playing it so far.
Awesome, thank you.
Nice.
Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. No credits. All right, couple more questions from my end, and then I'll invite another speaker up on stage. This is an interesting one. How can an NFT be used to secure ownership and access to a deployable neural network?
So depending on the type of neural network you're talking about will change the answer. So a simple reinforcement learning neural network like the FIFA and AFA games and TNL games, that's pretty simple. Is that we can save the neural network file in a decentralized storage, and then allow access to that file only for people who have that NFT within certain environments. And that's kind of just basically, without going into too much detail, is how we do it for those games. When you're talking about much bigger neural network files, then it might act as a key to access that, and then personalization data is pulled from your account in runtime for that session to interact with the AI. So it really depends on what your use case is and what type of neural network you're talking about, because that answer will probably change.
Awesome, thank you. I guess whoever asked that question, I don't have names next to them in my spreadsheet. Whoever asked that question, if you heard the answer, maybe for the next day, just let us know which neural network you're talking about, as well as a little more information you'd like to know if David hasn't covered what you wanted to hear. I will get one more person up on stage, and then we'll smash through a couple more of these written questions. My Meta, welcome to the stage.
Hey guys, thanks for having me up. Do you have my mic loud and clear?
We
Yep.
can hear you.
Fantastic. Now, I don't mean to derail this high-tech conversation with a very low-tech question. Now, I love my ASM hoodie, and we've just gone into autumn. It's nice and fleecy, incredibly high quality. I wouldn't say mauve is always the first color I'd go for, but I'm rocking it. I'm putting it. It's really cool. Now, my question really comes down to is partnerships with, say, authentic brands. Who does it fall on to put out the merchandise going forward? Because you've clearly found a manufacturer and a supplier now who can put out the quality gear you're after. And because I'd love a Muhammad Ali Next Legends t-shirts. So from a marketing standpoint, does that fall on the Futureverse side of things, or does authentic brands take that under their umbrella?
So there's opportunity for collaboration across the, obviously Authentic Brands has a lot of brands in the fashion industry, and we have a tight relationship with them. Without going into any details on that, I would say that probably Shara is the one responsible for this sort of stuff going forward, and her team. And I think we'll see probably a lot more activity in that side than before. Before, the company, Alter State Machine, at least, we were mostly a bunch of nerds who loved AI, so we're probably not that great on the fashion side and brand side. With coming into the Futureverse, we've got probably exposure to a whole lot more resources and people with a lot more industry knowledge and ambition around sort of creating those connections and bringing out much higher quality stuff and collabs than we could have imagined. So I would imagine we'll probably see much better fashion partnerships going forward.
I know a lot of these partnerships you've already got have amazing connections, obviously in the sporting arena with all the gear. So that's pretty exciting stuff. Thanks for answering the question. I know it's a bit of a curveball.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. Think so.
Awesome.
I was
Thanks
have
very
to say,
much.
I've seen David in real life, and he's actually very stylish. So don't, I think.
Oh,
underselling
thanks, Vinnie. Yes. Hey, and that beanie of yours, never go out of fashion.
him. Cheers,
The
bro.
same.
What about an Adidas loincloth for the goblins? That'd be cool.
Or, Reebok or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I can't talk on the fashion side. I wear track pants and a t-shirt every day. Don't at me.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. That's what I go out in too. So I'm not the guy for that one. Let's jump into a couple more of these questions here. There is one that's come up a couple of times that I think we've spoken on before, but maybe we get an update live. Are there any updates on the AI ML NFT patent, and can you share the public file number?
Not off the top of my head, but we can put it in the links. It's just going through the normal process, and I think we have to go back with some edits, which are in the middle of at the moment. But other than that, it's bopping along like any other patent that we've done. So no updates other than it's going through the normal process.
Yeah, I think one thing that most people won't know with patents is they take a very long time.
Oh yeah,
very long time for anything to really be set in stone.
I think we get like the donuts protocol, the donuts patent that took like, and I'm probably misquoting this, but it felt like about 5 years for that to come through.
Yeah,
and finally be granted.
It takes a long time. I will. After this, I will track down that public file number and see if I can get it popped into the official links. So it'll be there for anyone who wants to go through it and have a look. It is public, so you can find it. But I'll try and find the link so it's a little bit easier for those that are curious about it as well, so they don't have to track it down themselves. Cool. Let's grab another person to come up and ask a question. Let's see if they see my invite. Gizu, welcome to the stage. I saw the oh wait, can't hear you. Don't think your mic is wanting to play nice right now, Gizu. Do you want to write down your question and I will ask it on the stage for you? Seeing as the microphone isn't wanting to play nice. Okay, I'm happy to do that. I can see the mute's coming up, the deafen's coming up. Yeah, it's no go right now. You have been officially microphone rugged for this AMA. Sorry. I will ask your question for you, though. Just write it down and ask us anything of Settled World, and I will get to it. Next written question. I'm sorry if I butcher this, but I will ask it. Can I connect my ASM brain to my own avatar and train it to store and protect Mataranga Māori as part of my creative thesis? For those of you that don't know, this means Māori knowledge.
Yeah, so we're actually working on a piece of technology around natural language processing at the moment that will hopefully enable this kind of functionality in the future. And the idea around, as I've sort of mentioned already, on this AMA around you being able to store and keep custody of your own personal data. I think that's important when looking at these sorts of use cases. So we hope to be able to enable this sort of thing in a secure way, but that's not exploitative of the users in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We got a couple more here written down. If you do have any questions, feel free to pop your hand up as well. So this one's a little confusing. I'm not sure if it means someone wants me to be a creep and like walk around with a camera at the office. But it says, can we have some behind the scenes leaks of ASM staff at work?
Yeah, we've already sent out that one with the mocap at the team at the office doing the boxing mocap for TNL. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to see more of that stuff. I'll certainly be asking the marketing team to do some more behind the scenes stuff.
Perfect. So I won't just be walking around the office with a camera then. So that's good.
Dan creeping on off people at the office. Yeah,
I've literally
improved.
I literally just got a message from the marketing managers that says more office behind the scenes is planned.
Nice.
There you go. Live updates.
Wow.
There you go. Suda was about to say it too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Emily has office dog vids.
There you go. You can also see the office dogs if you need to.
That's cool.
Right.
That's what everybody's here for, right?
That's really what everyone's here for, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to offer the same thing because I don't actually often go into the office. It's just me and Buddha, so I can send photos of Frenchies.
Awesome. Okay, another one. This is an interesting one. Can ASM compete with Fortune 500 AI models, or at this point, or is the point not to compete and offer something completely different?
Yes and yes, I think is the answer to that question. I'm a pretty firm believer that open source development will outpace proprietary every time, and we kind of firm believers in that in the Futureverse group. At the moment, I think testing our current AI and research and development against what's out there at the moment, we're pretty damn close. And I think once it's launched and people can tweak it and play with it themselves in an open way, I think you'll pretty rapidly see it start to outpace the proprietary development. I think having access to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people playing around with it, rather than 100 scientists, will show very different results, and I think will show better results. Not to put down scientists. We have some really brilliant PhDs and scientists on our team developing this stuff. But once you get in the hands of people and they try different things and approach things from different angles that you can just never think of in a lab environment, you start to see much more interesting use of the tools. So I'm all a proponent for open source, and I think it will absolutely outpace proprietary development.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Another one here that I've got. Are there any plans to alter the Void protocol mechanics for future releases?
Yeah, 100%. We've taken some feedback from the small scale trial that we did, and really appreciated the participation from the community on that one. We've got some good ideas about how it can be improved when we launch we'll launch a big scale void mining event. We'll be back with some enhancements, and we'll be really interested to get your feedback. I think it's important that we get this one right. So doing little tests has been really helpful for us. I'm pretty glad we didn't launch a full scale version of it before getting that feedback from you guys. So thank you for all that participated, and watch this space for updates.
Perfect. Thanks very much, David. Another one here. Is ASM currently working on non-gaming, non-Web3 use cases for their AI technology?
Well, it's natively Web3, I suppose. It would be interesting to see what the person asking the question, what their definition of Web3 is, because I think anything that we produce could probably be classified as Web3. Especially when we're talking about the principles of self-sovereignty and ownership, giving people ownership over their data and digital identities and that sort of stuff, is very Web3 ideals. So as far as Web3 goes, probably not going to do a Web2 style. Although we might do stuff that appears to be, or it has the user functionality or the usability of Web2, but certainly not going to abandon our principles on Web3. As far as gaming goes, there's already sort of the art stuff coming out. We've got music stuff coming out. We've got as Aaron's already conveniently leaked for us, the chat stuff coming out, and a whole bunch of other use cases that sit outside of gaming, and also could be used, for gaming and for other purposes, like the music stuff, for example. You can use for music that you want to listen to, or you can use it for sound effects for games, or movies, or productions, YouTube videos, all sorts of places that you could use that technology. So Web3, probably not, because that's kind of the future of the web. We're not going to go back in our technology to Web2 or Web1. But gaming, definitely. Lots of use cases outside of that.
Perfect. Thanks very much. I've got a couple of ones in the question thread as well that have come through. There is one regarding Genesis brains, which is what's the utility of holding a Genesis brain for the last year and currently? And then they've marked the question: why not just sell it and rebuy it before the game is ready if there's no utility in currently holding it? The last one's probably writing on financial advice, but the first part of the question is probably feasible.
I probably wouldn't get into a question like that. It's not. We've never had a history of getting into financial advice on what to do with your assets. So I'm probably not going to answer that.
Fair enough. I figured I should pose it, but I understood that it's probably on that financial advice line. There's another one about Alleriyan, which I think is interesting. Which basically, what's the point of Alleriyan? There's lots of lore development, but no specific direction of where it's going. Is it going to be something like a Third Kingdom playable environment?
So the interesting thing for me is to build up stories around the content that we're creating. So if you look at the success of a game like World of Warcraft, for example, it probably, at the time, you compare it to what else was on the market. EverQuest 2, I think, was out. There was a Final Fantasy 11. RuneScape was RuneScape out by that point?
Yeah.
So any of those ones, and the ones that sort of subsequently came after it, one of the big things that World of Warcraft had going for it is that it had built up over a long period of time with its users and its communities a story and a lore and a world that people wanted to jump in and explore. That was an exciting thing for me about World of Warcraft when it came out, is that I was sort of engrossed in this the story of Warcraft, the lore and the world that they had crafted. And then when that immersive experience came out, the ability to jump into that story that I was already a part of and engrossed in was extremely exciting to me. And I want to create the same, as close as we can, the same kind of progression for what we're creating. So if we can create, with all the experiences that we're putting out, if we can connect them together and we can create a coherent story and world behind what we're doing, that when the more immersive experiences come out that you want to jump in and explore, you want to go and see, the site where PJB discovered the what is it called? What's the
Like
the
ASTO
element?
portals or the void protocols or
Yeah.
Aphorite.
Aphorite. Discover the Aphorite, and you want to go to these places that we've built the story and the world and the law around. A reason to actually go and explore these immersive spaces. I want to try and create that. So that's why I put a lot of emphasis on the storytelling and the creating of the world and the world building and everything that we do. And I want to incorporate it into everything that we do because it makes for an exciting experience once you are involved and engrossed in the story. And hopefully I can kind of bring that a little bit of that magic to the things that we're producing.
Yeah, understandable. I think creating a world before you can live in the world is a really good idea because you start to experience it and then you go, oh, I remember what happened here, and then you want to explore that zone exactly as you said. So it makes a lot of sense. There is... Sorry?
I just want to address from Hopping Good. Thanks for pointing that out. I wasn't deflecting the question about the use case. I was deflecting of Gen 1 brains. They are absolutely priority assets. And our intention is to deliver on everything that we've promised to the Gen 1 holders. I was deflecting because it was asking for specific trading information, which, if you've followed the project, we've never once done. We've never once talked about or given people advice on trading of assets or anything like that. So I was trying to separate the two. So sorry if that felt like I was deflecting the question about Gen 1 specifically.
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing that David said as well, is that we won't tell you or give you ideas on how to trade or what to do with your assets, because at the end of the day, they are your assets, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I have one last question on my list. Are there any planned use cases for the ASTO Discovery Portal?
Oh, the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've discussed with the Fluffworld team about some stuff about that. I don't know what the current update on some of those suggestions is, though. So I can't give you any specific offer. Can't give you any specific offer on that.
Awesome.
They were there kind of just as a reward, but I think we can do some cool stuff with them as well.
Yeah, and they don't just lead to my door.
They lead to Dan's directly to Dan's room. The portal door in Dan's room.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Any last notes from yourself, Vinnie, while we've got you here?
Yeah, thanks, dude. I'd like to request some help from the community. Something I've been wanting to jump in for ages. I think I'm going to be able to jump in the next few months, and it's the idea that I see cropping up quite a lot, which is building a few little playgrounds and toys and sort of micro activations that's going to allow the community to play around with some of their assets in between some of the bigger releases. So I'm sure there's millions of cool ideas out there. I can't make any promises whatsoever, but it's something that's on my radar now. So definitely taking input. If you've got any ideas of some fun mini adventure type things that you'd like to see developed, then by all means hit me up and I'll add it to the list of ideas, and yeah, we can see what happens. And there's I'm not too sure how much I can actually say about it, but I'm pretty excited. I sort of had an idea over the weekend that got me all very excited. But there's a stack of them. Yeah, we're working closely with David and the AI team to make some magic happen.
Awesome. Looking forward. Oh, and Dan, do you have any? You've got some interesting information about.
I do. I'll save that for in a little while. I do have one more thing to go over with you, though, David. I just want to give Vinnie a nice little space to say what he's up to. And that sounds awesome, by the way, Vinnie. I think the audience is going to have a great time with asking you to build stuff and hoping it comes true. But we do have an announcement to make today as well on the genome mining front. So genome mining is going into maintenance mode. which essentially is the genome mining will be pausing at the end of mining cycle 4. We don't have an exact date of when this pause will be happening. Hopefully we have an update later today or tomorrow for you on that front, but it will be pausing to focus on the root network integration. I just wanted to see if you have any comments on that as well, David.
Yeah, I mean, this one's obvious. Root network integration is super important. So let's get that done. And once that's done, things are going to get a lot better without the high gas fees and other sort of nonsense that we have to deal with. So really looking forward to the root integration to be done. And in the meantime, you can still get ASTO Energy to participate in things like any void pools or other ASTO Energy use cases coming up. So we're not going to stop that. But the mining needs to be stopped for obvious reasons while we go through that integration.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much, David. We will have more information coming out over the next few days around genome mining as well. We just wanted to let you know here first. Okay. The announcement that I have that David alluded to is Project Tempest is going to be going live. We do not have a date for you right now, so I'm going to tease you with that. But I do have an announcement that the first chapter of the book that we've named the prequel or issue 0 will be free to read for anyone. So you'll be able to go to the website and you will be able to consume the first issue for free. We decided to do this as a company to say, hey, we don't need you to stake to it. Or to even mint it at the end to see what it's like. You'll be able to go to the website. You'll be able to subscribe to that book for a cost of 0 ASTO. So you'll just have to sign the contract to read it. And you'll be able to check it out and see what we've been building over Tempest side. And on the top of that, we have now officially completely finished the first book and have started working on book 2. Announcements to come on our launch date very, very soon. I'm hoping to get them out to everyone this week. For someone that asked as well, any news on staking ASTO for Project Tempest? You will be able to stake ASTO for Project Tempest. I will not be able to give you the amount of ASTO right now, though, as we are watching the space, as we do have a USD amount that we want to keep it under. But that's for the Project Tempest side update. So thank you very much. And thank you everybody for tuning in. David, any sign-off notes from yourself?
Stay choice.
Stay choice, everybody. Vinnie, any final words from you?
No, just congrats, bro, on the Project Tempest thing. I happened to get a little sneak peek on your trailer and it's looking fantastic. So well done.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Vinnie. And thank you everybody for coming and listening to the AMA today. I will be around in the Discord to answer any further questions that I can. And David and Vinnie may be around, but I won't promise them to you because they have likely got other work to do as well. Thank you one and all, and have a wonderful